This documentary is dedicated to those unsung heroes of 1857, the first War of Independence, and the great revolutionaries who followed them to the Andamans, to be incarcerated in the cellular jail, to suffer inhuman and barbaric atrocities for the freedom of their motherland. And those martyrs who made it possible for us to live with our heads high as free citizens of an independent country. The Indian independence movement has been a saga of struggle, courage and determination to wrest independence from the British colonial rule. In that long drawn-out fight for freedom, many Indians have sacrificed their lives. There is no parallel history to the history of human endurance, history of inhuman cruelties and barbarities on educated youths of India who fought for the emancipation of their country. The history of cellular jail and freedom movement is the history of their brave defiance and passive resistance in the face of unspeakable sufferings. To most Indians of the present day, the memory of the penal settlement of the Andamans is associated with the cellular jail. For within its solitary cells were confined for years together the revolutionary patriots of India, who were engaged in a long, arduous and bitter struggle for freedom since the beginning of the present century. Shortly after the completion of the cellular jail in 1906, the Swadeshi movement in Bengal gradually developed into an all-India revolutionary movement against British rule. Many newspapers were started, which played a significant role in rousing the people's interest in revolutionary activities. A group of young men, led by Barindra Kumar Ghosh, younger brother of Sri Aurobindo, had formed a Jugantar party in 1906 and carried their rebellious activities in a garden house in Maniktola in Calcutta, where they were collecting arms and manufacturing bombs. Immediately after the bomb incident on 30th April 1908, in Muzaffarpur in Bihar, the group was arrested and was committed for trial to the court. The gates of the cellular jail were opened, and the approval of the Government of India for the deportation of term convicts to the Andamans was reduced only to a procedural formality. Since then, the history of Andamans, for a period of more than 25 years, is practically the history of the revolutionary prisoners from different parts of India, sent there in successive batches with occasional intervals. The first batch of political prisoners convicted in the Maniktola conspiracy case, also called the Alipur bomb case of 1908, sentenced to transportation for life and long terms of imprisonment, were sent to the cellular jail in December 1909. About the same time, in 1910-1911, 3 more from Bombay were sentenced to transportation for life in the Nasik conspiracy case. These were the 2 brothers Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and Ganesh Damodar Savarkar, and Vaman, alias Daji. Veer Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, the doyen of the Indian revolutionaries, reached the Andamans on 4th July 1911 and was to be incarcerated in the dreaded cellular jail for 50 years. There were a few prisoners who were sent to the Andamans in 1907-8 for seditious writing in newspapers. Some young revolutionaries convicted in Khulna conspiracy case on 30th August 1910 were also sent to Andamans. On their arrival, the first person to meet the political prisoners was the jailer, Mr. David Barry, a terror, a bulldog in appearance, claiming to tame the lions. V.D. Savarkar mentions about the first despotic address of Barry, who said, "Listen, ye prisoners. In the universe there is one God, and he lives in the heaven above. But in Port Blair there are two. One, the God in heaven, and another, the God of earth. Indeed, the God of earth in Port Blair, that is, myself. The God of heaven will reward you when you go above, but the God of Port Blair will reward you here and now." Incarcerated in the Andaman jail, the political prisoners were totally cut off from the outside world.